Go.
Hey, you're here back on Things They Never Taught Us. I'm glad you came back because I know you're like, man, I gotta go get me a suit, some shoes. My leathers have got to match, shirt and tie. Yeah, cufflinks if you need it, if you're gonna style out here, but get some of the basics in here and we ain't spending no cheap money, but if you only got a little bit of money, do what you gotta do. Hey, I'm not mad at this saying. When I was first starting out, graduating from college, I hit Goodwill. Shoot, don't trip. I found the good ones. I found me some secondhand shops and got some nice suits. Matter of fact, I got a couple of Giorgio Armani suits. Dude just happened to be my size. I was like,
You
bro,
go,
I'm
boy.
on the come up right here.
Oh,
Shoot, you
you
couldn't
go,
tell me
boy.
nothing. Looking like Richard Gere coming out of American Gigolo with the Giorgio Armani on, with the wide leg stovepipe pants. I was like, you're killing it. But the key thing of it is that resume one pager, looking at entry level jobs, temp agencies, dressing for success, getting a mentor or somebody that is in the field that you may like to look at, and
Correct.
also know the expectation that, hey man, you may not be in this for a bunch of years. You may end up changing several times in your career, but it's okay.
Well,
It,
some
it,
of the best advice I ever got from when I first got my first job at a bank, and I was able to have a conversation with the senior vice president, and I asked him straight up. It was almost like Will Smith in Pursuit of Happiness. How did you get to where you were? I asked him that question.
mm,
How did you get to where you are today? And the best advice he gave me, and I've always listened to this, he said, move within your industry.
mm.
Move within. Now I'm gonna put y'all up on some game now. Move within your industry. So he's told me, he said, hey, every couple of years, apply for another job somewhere else. And when on the application, where it asks you what your current salary is or what you want to make, always don't make it for less than $5,000 than what you're already making. In other
So
words,
if you're making 55, tell me
tell them you're
I'm
making
making
60.
60.
Tell them you're making 60 or you want 60. Yeah, absolutely. You know why? Because as an employer, they're trying to get you in there for the lowest price they can, lowest salary they can. So if
Mm-hmm.
you tell them five and they offer you seven more than what you were currently, they offer you say you want 60 and they say, well, we'll give you 62, thinking, well, we're only giving them $2,000 more than what they're currently making. Well, actually, you just paid me 7 grand more than what I was currently making. That is the
Appreciate
game,
you.
folks.
Roll the dice on that one, y'all. Listen, things they never taught us. You better learn that one. You know what? Somebody told me that later in life, and being in education, I never thought about that like that.
Yep,
But you're
that is
right.
the game.
When
And
when
and
they when
you
I got to executive level and I was running schools, they can ask me all I want about what my current salary is. I want this is what I was making,
right.
and it was way over what I was really making. But I was like, no, no, this is what I'm making, and can you
Yeah,
meet that? Because I know
right.
what I bring to the table,
Absolutely.
and
Because
that's how I kept bumping my
then you know
salary
your
up.
worth. You know your
Come
worth.
on.
And look it up. Find out how much those jobs are paying. So you'll have an idea of what you should be getting paid.
So somebody told me this when I was, first seeking, administrative level jobs in schools. And this goes out to my man, Terrence Johnson. He was my mentor when I was at KIPP. And he told me, he said, Dan, what do you think you're worth?
Right.
And I came up with a number and he said, wrong. I came up with several numbers. He said, wrong, wrong, wrong. He said, listen to this. They can never pay you what you're worth. And it hit me hard because I was like, so it didn't matter if I said $1 million. He said, is that all you're worth? You're worth so much more than that.
Hmm.
So, within saying that, that's the kind of confidence that you have to walk into the door with. You're not paying me what I'm worth. I'm worth so much more than that. I'm blessing you with my presence.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
here's what I will negotiate for.
Right.
I was like,
Now,
wow, that's a really
uh,
bold way to go about it.
now, let me tell you how you set that up. You're
Talk to me.
absolutely right. But now, during the course of the interview, let me tell you how you set that up. Because remember, well, what you should be doing, you're interviewing them too. Okay. They're not
Huh.
just interviewing you, you're interviewing them as well. Okay.
Okay. Talk to me about that position in that.
And
I
and
come in the
and
door, I'm dressed for it. I'm getting ready to meet with.
They're going to
I've already
ask
gone through the
you,
screening. I've gone through the screening. I'm good.
yeah, they're going to ask you, tell me about a time that you showed leadership, and you have to give them an example of when you showed leadership and answer that question directly. Deal with those questions. What are your strengths? I always tell them, I always try to be a perfectionist. And then the next question they hit you with is, well, what is your biggest weakness? That I'm always trying to be a perfectionist. Same answer
Mm,
for both. That's how I work
okay.
now. But when you get to that final round or that final interview, more than likely the person sitting on the other side of the desk is the hiring manager. Okay. The person that you're going
Okay.
to be working for. All right. And so the question that before you get up from that from that interview, before it ends, you want to ask them this question.
Tell you, bro.
What keeps you up at night about this job?
Ooh.
You want to ask them that question. And you want to
Ooh.
keep your mouth shut. Don't say nothing. Let them, because the first one that speaks loses. Let them answer that question. Okay.
So say that
And
again. What keeps you up at
what keeps,
night?
right, about your current position, what keeps you up at night about the job? And listen carefully to what that answer is. I've never had a manager not tell me that that is a problem for them. Never. Now, you
What
want
have
to
you
look,
heard?
the guy that hired me for this job, there was there was a certain deadline for the regulators that they needed to meet, and they were falling behind. Okay. So he needed someone that could come in, take charge, and get them back on track, is what he needed. So basically, he needed a project manager. That was oh, you need a project manager. Oh,
Mm.
and then so I listened to that answer, and then I answered, I said, well, I can help you with that. I have project manager experience. I can get things in shape. And I could really go into this one. I'm in data management. Prior to that, I was in compliance. Okay. But when I got laid off, I knew that data, you know, being before AI, I knew that data was what was on the rise. Okay.
Hmm.
So I took some online classes to learn how to speak the language and the terminology of somebody that was in data management. I had no data management experience, okay? But during the course of my interview with the guy that hired me at this financial institution that I will not name at this point,
Hmm.
uh, during the course of that, I was speaking the language. I was speaking the terms that were associated with data management. I was interviewing for a data management position, okay? So by the time it was done, he said, you said more to me and understand this better than the people I got currently hiring working for me right now.
So this all kicked off because of this one key question.
Hmm.
What keeps you up at night about
Yep.
your job?
Yep.
Talking to the hiring manager. I like that
And then,
because it gave you a view into a lens. If they answered honestly, they gave you a view and lens about something that they're currently dealing with. They may not even recognize the fact that they're telling you that, but you're then in assessing it, you're looking at it for yourself and saying, hey, I can either help you with that, or I understand that, and here's how my experiences may be able to help in this.
right,
I'm going to lead with more of a I can handle that. I'm
right,
hoping that I can. I like that because now I we often people have often heard, well, you're interviewing, they're interviewing you, but you're interviewing them. But you got to have some key questions and tools of
hmm
how to extract information from them.
yes, because you're
And,
interviewing them too. Another question I would ask is, if I were to sit outside at 5 o'clock when everybody's leaving the building, are am I going to see people smiling or am I going to see frowns on their face?
ooh, I like that. I have never heard that one.
That's the whole point, Dan. You're going to ask questions that no other candidate is asking. You're going to stick out and make a lasting impression on that hiring manager. That's the whole point.
Wow, I'm doing what y'all need to be doing at home. You need to be writing that one down. I wrote that one down. Are they smiling or they frowning? What am I going to see?
Are they smiling or are they going to be frowning? That's what I
I,
want to know.
I would want to turn that around and say, if I'm sitting at the front door and everybody coming in first thing in the morning, are they smiling or they frowning?
Hmm.
Because if they really don't want to be there and they coming in the building,
Yeah. That gives
how
you an
you
idea
dealing
what
with
the
it?
culture's like.
Or are they running to the joint? They got a smile on their face. They got the coffee in their hand. Hopefully they made it home. They weren't spending that money. As my man, Get Good at Money, the book, Craig McKinnis. You spending that money at Starbucks, you need to go ahead and get that book. Stop playing around with your boy.
But Cameron,
Yeah, but
you
no,
have to,
I like that because yeah, Get Good at Money. Get Good at Money. Craig, get it on Amazon. It's out there
get on
today.
Amazon. That's
Yeah,
right.
or
Barnes and
go to
Noble.
Barnes and Nobles. Come
Yep.
on, stop playing.
Soon to be an audio book. That's the next one.
Boom. So the key of that is whoever's listening in and they're getting ready to interview, you gotta have the cojones enough to say, hey, as I'm looking for you to talk to me about this job and you want to know more about me, I'm actually interviewing you too.
Hmm.
It's kind of like what I would tell, and I refer this back to my students when they were getting ready to go to college or they were looking interviewing for high schools and they had a lot of different choices. I said, don't ask the person who is recruiting you or the principal, or whoever you're talking to, who's a representative of the school. Don't ask them about the dances. Don't ask them about food. Don't ask them about social life at the school. You need to ask the kinds of questions that's going to make them stop and say, okay, they're pretty serious about this. The best question I've always told them to say, I said, tell me the matriculation rate of your students who graduate and leave going on to a top 25 college in their major, and how many of them have actually finished that 4-year institution with a degree? So if that was a high school you were talking to, they're gonna like, well, wait a minute, that's 8 years. I'm like, yeah. And are you on top of that?
Hmm.
Because I got an 8-year plan.
Hmm. Yeah.
Now a school that hears that, whew, they're like, well, and I've had this happen to me anytime. Who told you that question? Oh, I wasn't told that question. We were in our class and we were working on it because I got an 8-year plan.
Hmm.
You are 4 years of my 8-year plan. I got to get to an end point. Are your school going to be the right choice for me to matriculate through and get to where I need to be?
That's right.
Now imagine that's some little black kids from South Central LA talking to Harvard Westlake, which is the #1 private independent school in Los Angeles, and then the boarding schools like Kate Thatcher, Andover, Exeter, Lawrenceville. I'm talking about your top 10 boarding schools in the country. Imagine little black kids and little Hispanic kids saying that. Huh? You
Yeah.
don't think that my kids wasn't getting scholarships?
Right.
So you're right. You got to come back with some questions in these interviews that let them know that I'm not just another candidate that just walked through the door and just applied and I'm going to tell you about myself.
Yeah, because they're going to ask you, do you have any questions for me? And that's when you unload these questions on them.
I said,
Now, here's another question.
do you have time? Because I got a lot. What's another question, bro?
Yeah. So then the other thing that you want to ask them, and this is you gotta have some cojones, but you gotta ask it. Is there anything that we've discussed during this interview that will prevent me from getting this position?
Did you feel the temperature in the room just go down? It got real cool, didn't it? Bruh, you don't know. When I found that question out, I got to send this out to my man Soyika out there in Delaware. He told me that about 7 years ago when I was still interviewing for principal administrative positions. Actually, I was interviewing for a director of operations. And he said that to me. And do you know when I have said that in an interview, it basically put them in that position of, oh, well, do we tell them how we really feel about them, or do we just kind of fudge into it? And you can't really fudge into it because it said, and you say the question again,
Is there
is it
anything that we have discussed during this interview that you can phrase it like this? Is there anything that we've discussed during this interview that would eliminate me as a possible candidate for this position?
ooh. And if y'all have felt that temperature go down, I don't know what is, but I'll tell you this. Hey, you on 5AZ 24/7. This is things they never taught us. And that question right there, they ain't nobody ever told you that. I know ain't nobody ever told you that. I know ain't nobody ever told you that because I learned that and that was when I was 50. And I'm 57.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you, that put people in a position to say, oh, we have to actually answer that question. I'm like, hey, because you
Yeah,
said, do I have any questions?
it's because
And
it's
then,
basically a dressed up yes or no question.
am I gonna get it or I'm not gonna get it? Is there
Right.
anything? Yeah, and I'm gonna make you. And what it does, it forces you to compliment the person that's being interviewed.
Yep.
You got to compliment me.
Yep. And if they say, well, no, then you ask for the job. Well, then when do I start?
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back on 5AC 24/7. Things they never taught us. It's your man Dan, my man Craig. Hey, go get that book. Get Good at Money
Greg
by
Mack.
Craig McKenna. We'll be
Yes,
right
sir.
back, y'all. We'll be
All
right
righty.
back.